Introducing the PDC World Darts Championship.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the online darts fallout bar as we have come to the conclusion of day number 2 of the 2026 Paddy Power PDC World Darts Championships. Dan Simpson, as ever, joining you from up here in Teesside. The Welsh correspondent is back with us. Carolyn Evans is in, and we're joined once again by Dan Spedding for the second night on the bounce. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, glad to finally be on board the fallout bar train as the World Championships get going. And who doesn't love a double session on a Friday?
I'll tell you who doesn't love a double session on a Friday. Those of us that work 9-to-5 jobs. I
don't know why I said I'm in the same boat. That's why I said that.
Dan, did any of the three of us manage to get to watch the afternoon session? Did you see any of it?
Bits and pieces. I've seen most of it.
Good.
It was the first of the evening, because it was a little bit impromptu this evening, but I'm sure we'll be able to cover it between the three of us.
Yeah, well, thank goodness for being able to catch up on television, because what I managed to watch most of the afternoon session sort of on about triple speed fast forward, just as a sort of catching how it went and just better pause that and slowly remind myself of it. Quick shout out, the chat room's busy already now, which is good because we're on nice and early, but a lot of the regulars are already in as well. Greatest Showman's in, James is in, Bobsy's in again, Video Smurf is in. Didn't see you last night, but it's good to have you along. Don't forget, as always, folks, if you are watching, we'll be doing some predictions for tomorrow later on. There'll be plenty of banter to be had in the chat room. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because that allows you to have a bit of a chat and a bit of crack in the chat room and get your predictions in as well. We'll have a talk through the day's action. We'll have a little think about what we think is going to happen tomorrow. Quick shout out just at the beginning of the show, because we are, for the duration of the Paddy Power, and we want to make sure that everybody is taking part in the Darts of Destiny. So if you go online and you Google Darts of Destiny and you make a donation to an incredibly good cause, you will find yourself in with an opportunity of winning £180,000 on the Alexandra Palace stage, which I suspect takes you to about number 35 in the world. I'm sure they'll honour it. You'll probably be on tour next year. But do go and Google it. Paddy Power have done a tremendous job again of supporting not just us here, but the entire World Championships and an awful lot of good causes as well. Right, into the darts action. And we started. So my little lad, Billy, has absolutely, he's rinsed me today, because on the PDC Predictor game, like he is absolutely smashing it. Like he's in the online darts league. I think he's winning it. He's doing very well. And he nailed this one today. Thank goodness for the bookmakers he's not old enough to have a bet yet, because he had a tremendous day today. Now, I think we did right across the board last night. Everybody in the chat room, everyone I think generally had Zonneveld winning this one. Puha, we keep seeing him, but he's yet to pick up a win on this stage. Carwyn, did this one just go as you expected? A very, very comfortable Zonneveld win.
Yeah, I often bang on the fallout bar about doing the right thing at the right time. Pua, unfortunately, has got this amazing ability of doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. I happened to I happened to take a late lunch break, so I saw most of this game, and that second set, yes, he lost his throw twice, but he did well then to break Zonneville back to force it to a last leg decider, and then he finds himself on 3-3-5 after 9 darts, and that sort of summed up his performance really, as in there were moments in there where he looked like a very worthy tour card holder, and then there were a lot of other reasons why unfortunately he's lost his tour card following that defeat this afternoon. But Zonneville just did enough, and sometimes in these first couple of rounds, that's all you have to do is just do enough, and that's what he did.
Yeah, I think he did right. I think he summed it up pretty well. I mean, Dan, obviously, Cowie mentioned there that is Puha's card gone. There are 5 Oceanic region, Australia, New Zealand players at the World Championships this year. I think, I mean, depending on what we see from Simon Whitlock, there's a possibility that the guy that came in with the tour card is potentially the poorest of them. Do you think we see him again with a tour card? Do you think, or perhaps now that we've got the Australian Premier League and we've got a bit more darts going on in that region, there it could just give him enough to focus on? And
I think as it grows grassroots over there and there's more regular competition, what Carwin said about doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, I think the only way you can get around that is by playing regularly competitive games. And I think Zonneville had a little bit higher quality in the game, but I think match practice was the main difference, if I'm honest. So I think he might be back soon, but I don't see him sticking around. But I think as that foundation grows in that side of the world, that's when we're going to see more competition from the other territories. And that's how it's going to happen. We're going to have to grow more of a competitive scene over there. And then that match practice, we'll start to see the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, I feel, in a way, a little bit sorry for Puha, because he's been over here with a tour card for the last couple of years, which is really when we've seen the biggest advancement in darts in that. We've seen the Australian Premier League, which was played really well, of a really good standard, and it was very entertaining. No, of course, he missed out on that, and obviously the new tour that's going on over there, like affiliated to PDC, that's going really well, much higher levels of competition. And I almost feel like he's missed out on that development in that region to sort of be a whipping boy on the Pro Tour. And I feel a little bit just in terms of, I mean, you talk about timing, Cowie. I just think it almost seems like the whole thing's just slightly mistimed for him. And perhaps, getting on that circuit, which is developing so well over there. And I think he's pretty much guaranteed a spot in the Premier League. And I think that might help just reset his game, almost get him used to winning. He's won very few darts matches in the last few years, and I think he needs to get used to winning again. But from Zonneville.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And winning's a habit. And I think what we found with a lot of these Aussie and Kiwi players who win tour cards is, unless they completely uproot their lives and move everybody over to the UK, that they struggle, as in they obviously miss their families. The time difference makes it very hard to sort of have a normal life on FaceTime or whatever sort of app you use to talk. So I think that's why you see sort of Simon Whitlock was so bloody hell, I've had a blank. Did so well. That's why I think Damon Hetter's done well, is sort of not there at the moment, but
no, he's fully committed though, hasn't he?
Yes, and I think that must play on their minds, knowing that they're losing a Pro Tour, then they've got to phone their family in the middle of the night and be like, yeah, didn't go to plan again, and it's just, I don't know, it must be tough week after week going through a poor run of results.
Definitely. Right, game number 2. I was really excited for this one. I genuinely thought it was going to be a really entertaining game. And I don't know what happened here, Dan. Do you think I didn't expect it because of the level of experience between these two players, but What do you think the occasion maybe got to them both? It just lacked, didn't it? They've both got so much better in them. And we've seen it so recently from both of them that it just fell a bit flat, didn't it?
It did, but I was talking about this earlier with my dad, actually. We had the Rasmus match, obviously, last night, which got ridiculed for not being entertaining. And there was probably a similar level of quality to King White, but because they're legends and they've both fell off and at a similar level now, I really enjoyed the dogfight.
It was a watchable scrap.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. You know, White went 2 up and then King, I mean, he felt a little bit in the last set, but pulling it back. As I say, I think they have enough credit in the bank for what they've given to the game over the years. I actually really enjoyed that for a first round tie.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know what you think, Cowan. I expected more. I certainly expected a higher level from Mervyn King. Like when you look at just simple average scoring, I expected him to come out, score better. I mean, he's been playing so much better darts of late. And I thought, well, he's been on that stage that many times. It's not going to faze him. He's going to get up. He certainly won't struggle on the outer ring. And, 7 from 34, he's killed him, hasn't it?
Yeah, that was the problem, wasn't it? And despite them both only averaging 81, it was the best 81 average match I think I've enjoyed ever. But it felt at times like, not that they were showing each other too much respect, but they both knew what they could do. And it was almost as if a game of cat and mouse, waiting for each other to ignite in the hope then that would kickstart their game off. But based on Ian White's doubling, I can't see him going much further unless he really bucks up his idea. It's just, it's disappointing. I think we were all quite excited with the prospect of Mervyn King back at the Palace, and it just he sort of said in his interview beforehand that he was feeling a bit nervous, and did he want it too much? Maybe knowing sort of he's lost his tour card, wants to prove a point, and just it was just sort of too little, too late, despite sort of bringing it back to the last set decider. Sorry.
Yeah, it's I sort of hoped for a higher level. I wanted more. I think you're right with Ian White. I think he was at such a good level, and it's been a very gradual drop off. I think with it, we often see players, and we've seen a lot of it of late, players just plummeting down. Ian Wright seems to have sort of very, very, very just gradually eroded his ability to keep in touch with the top end of the sport. And we'll come to his opponent in the next round a bit later, because it does relate to an upcoming game. But no, it was an enjoyable watch, as we said. I think it was a bit of a slugfest, and that sometimes if you can't get the quality, then at least you want a story, don't you? You want something.
I think you want one of them a session when you have a lot of 3-0s at the minute. You want a game where you can't pick the winner. It's a little bit back and forth. It was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I think there's I think the second most exciting thing when you watch it, other than excellence, is unpredictability, and that's what you want it to you want to not know what's going to happen next. And with that in mind, not knowing what's going to happen next, I think what everybody knew was going to happen next, because I think we had pretty much a clean sweep in the chat room predictions last night. Everybody picked Ryan Searle 3-0 victory over Chris Landman, and I mean it's difficult to say much other than it just went to plan, didn't it, Cowan?
Yeah, that's exactly what it did. Both players averaged what I expected. Stats were sort of pretty much bang on what you sort of think you're going to get with both players. And it was just Searle did just, apart from one leg in the last set, I thought he played quite well in the last set. But it just... we all knew Searle was going to win. It was just, would he make it easier himself, or would he get stuck in a battle? And it was just quite a quick, easy watch with a nice cup of tea. Didn't have to fast forward this game on catch up. No,
it's the first in what I think is going to be quite a few cases and stories of people turning up desperately trying to save their card and getting battered and sent home. Because, and Chris Landman again, last chance saloon. We're going to see a lot of that, later today, over the coming few days. Like, we'll see more of that. And I fear that the pattern might continue, to be honest. I do think some of these, looking at the draws, I think Searle was probably quite fortunate, but Dan, it was a really solid performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were flashes of brilliance in there for sure. There were some legs he dropped his standard, but he was allowed to. There was no consequence for doing so. So it's quite hard to be critical on him for that, because if you can win when you're playing your C game, you don't have to find them extra levels. But yeah, he had the typical odd shot where he couldn't see what he'd hit, and he went up to hit a 20, leaving a bogey number, which is par for the course for Ryan Searle. It wouldn't be a Searle game without that.
Standard Ryan's, yeah. That's what happens in the line, didn't it?
There were some brilliant darts in there, and some average ones, but it was more than enough to sail through. He hasn't had a great, he probably has tougher practice games than that at the end of the day. So it was a good performance.
He's in an interesting little section as well. You look like his next game, he plays the winner of Brendan Dolan and Tavis Dudney, and you'd expect him to come through that either way. And then you look opposite and you think, Tim Pussy, Keane Barry, Stephen Burton, Martin Schindler is like the big name in that group. And you think, well, Searle could get past Schindler. Like he could probably go. Searle could go on a run, couldn't he? He could start knocking people down.
Oh, definitely. He could get to the fourth round without really having to break a sweat. Because I don't think Schindler wins his little. I don't think Schindler plays Ryan Searle. I don't think he'll face another seed now until he gets beyond the third round.
Yeah, I think the first time I think if he does or doesn't get through Schindler, then you look at the rest of that quarter, and really the big hitters, it's Dirk van Duijvenbode and Stephen Bunting, and Dirk has been very unpredictable, and it's not big news, I don't think, for Ryan Searle to beat Dirk van Duijvenbode. And Stephen Bunting has shown frailty on a big stage this year. Like a Ryan Searle quarter-final run, I don't think it's out of the question. It's possible.
No, I think Searle, when he plays his ear game, he can play the game as well as any other. He does have a tendency, particularly in big games against big opposition, he can sometimes fall to pieces, which is something I think he'll need to address. But him going against Bunting's probably favourite just because he's done it a bit more in major tournaments. But you wouldn't be too shocked if Searle would come out on the right side of that.
Absolutely not. Right, we will wrap up the afternoon session with probably me having to go cock that one, didn't I? Like, everyone has to pick an upset at some point, and I have to make myself look silly occasionally. And I just expected so much more from Cordecker and so much less from Rob Cross. I genuinely thought one would punch above their weight, one would underwhelm, and they'd sort of meet each other around the middle in a 3-2. And I got it wrong on both ways, because Rob Cross massively over-delivered, and Cordecker just didn't live up to what I thought he'd be able to do. Dan, are these the shoots of a revival for Rob Cross? Did you see enough today to think this is it? He's on the up.
He's definitely improved. So yes, he's on the up. Am I going to sit here and say he'll make a semi-final? I haven't seen enough to say that yet. But I think it was a really good performance, a very professional job, and I think at the end of the day, a World Championships with a Rob Cross playing good darts in it is a better World Championship than without. When he shows up, he can give anyone a game, and as a fan, I definitely want to see him rediscover that form. And I think he's one of the few players. Sometimes you see a player and you're like, they need a gut check early on to wake them up. that's not what Rob Cross needed. Rob Cross needed what he got today. He needed that 3-0, no drama, just sail through. So I think it's went about as perfect as it could for him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you summed that up really, really well. I think he just needed to be reminded himself that he can win a game on a big stage and that he is a very talented dart player. And I mean, I don't think it was almost the perfect finish as well. The 170 to seal, it was quite poetic in a way. But I mean, if he can start to play, he's clearly a man that's been playing with an awful lot of pressure on him, inside and outside, inside and outside darts. But if you take everything else apart, darts alone, it's been a bit drab. But again, Carwin, I bring you back to the bracket again, and he's going to bump into Ian White next. And we said earlier on, the performance that Ian White puts in today gets nowhere near the performance Rob Cross put, and that wasn't the best Rob Cross. That wasn't all. It was a B game Rob Cross. That.
Yeah, my worry with Rob Cross at the moment is, can he find that A game when he needs it? Because that sort of average pretty much sums up his year, really, as in he hasn't been great. He's not reached the level we know he can reach. And whilst, yes, I think he'll beat Ian White comfortably with that sort of average, you're then sort of looking at Barney Hette or Stefan Belmont, and I don't think he wins that game with that sort of performance. Obviously, by then, he'll have had 2 wins under his belt, and he'll have built a bit of confidence, and you may see him raise his game. I just think, yeah, he needed that win today just to sort of prove himself he can win, but I think he'll need to start thinking, right, where can I find that extra 2-3 points in the average per round now if I really want to sort of make some damage in this tournament.
Agreed. Right, into the evening session, and this was some game, and it wasn't what I expected to a degree. I think I expected both of these guys to play well. I just didn't expect it to all go wrong when it did. And Carwin, how is Ross Smith going to look in the mirror and think, I've missed 6 match darts there? Not only have I missed 6 match darts, but I have then let the game completely slip away from me. It's a disaster, isn't it?
It is a disaster, and I think his reaction on camera when he mouthed the 4-letter word that starts with an F and ends with a K and there's a UC in the middle, sort of sums it up. But he'll be furious with himself to have missed that many match starts, because he's another player he could probably do with a nice little run, just sort of build his confidence up ahead of 2026, and it's all gone to pot, really. And from being quite comfortable at 2-1 up, as in, even though we lost the second set, I thought the way he bounced back in the third, I expected him to sort of steamroll the 4th set then, but I didn't expect the 5th set to go like that when he went to a deciding set. I thought maybe Harrison would be the one to feel the nerves and that Smith would power score, but I thought Andreas Harrison in that 5th set was just he was born to play on that stage.
Dan, we saw from very, very early in the game a lot of animation from Ross Smith. From those first couple of legs, we saw really big outbursts of emotion and really growling to the crowd and roaring. And when the game starts to get long, because this was a long, intense game, do you think there is like an adrenaline dump at point? Do you think you can almost go like too hard too early with that, and you almost run out of steam a little bit?
Definitely. I think when you're putting that much into a game and you're that involved, the adrenaline's going. I don't even think just for Ross Smith. I think naturally through the course of a game, players will dip and, they'll expend too much energy. what I think was the real kind of turning point in this, and before I start, I should probably hold my hands up. I predicted a 105 average for Ross Smith and an absolute battering. Not going to lie, when he had 3 match darts for a 3-1, I was sitting there with a little smug smile on my face. It wasn't quite 105, but I think it would have been high 90s. I was quite happy. But it was almost like Harrison fed off Smith missing. Every time Smith made a mistake, he'd come back 2 trebles. He really turned the screw. It was a bit like if you watch boxing, he could just feel him getting weaker, punching himself out, and he just kept up in that tempo. And he was a very worthy winner in the end. I think Smith, he might go away feeling hard done to, but it's doubles for dough at the end of the day. And if you miss 6 match darts, you're the only person you can blame for that.
100%, and I think it's, you know, and again, I know we keep going back. I'm going to try and get some graphics up for later in the tournament when we're looking at the bracket. Like Ross Smith was the big danger in this part of the bracket, and now Harrison plays the winner of Thibaut Tricol and Motumu Sakai. I think he pisses through either of them, and then when you look at the wider bracket, you know, he's got Chisnell off Alan Sherrick, and again, like Dave Chisnell's playing with like. You might as well be playing with 2 darts the way that he's scoring at the minute. Like it's miles away. And then, you know, Jose de Souza, another one, like, you know, Petrescu. Like, you look at that bracket without Ross Smith in it, and you think that's a complete lottery now. Like that could be anything by the end of it, because that I felt from the very beginning of the draw, the only thing that could possibly happen was that Ross Smith gets to round 4, and there's no other thing that can go wrong. And now I look at it and go, this is a complete fucking lottery. Anything could happen in that little section. It's mad. I'm all for it. It's great, but it's bonkers. Right. Moving on. Oh, and here we go. Rapid Ricky Evans, friend of the show, guest 2 weeks ago at the Live Lounge Live. I think this was a real potential banana skin here. And I was a bit worried about Ricky coming into this. We've seen Man Not Lung dispatch, you know, as an underdog, dispatch heavy favourites and upset and come back from 2 sets down. Dan, this was one of the most mature, until the game finished, one of the most mature performances I've ever seen from Ricky Evans, because all of that, you know, that lack of concentration, the sort of distractions, the not being able to sustain it and letting people back in, there was just none of that. And it wasn't even sublime. It was just, and it's what's rare from Ricky, just a totally professional, turned up, did the job, concentrated, scored well, off he went, job done. We don't see that a lot from Ricky, do we?
No, I mean, he stepped on stage and performed like he had zero doubt that he was going to win that game. He was showing up to do a job, and he knew what was going to happen before anyone else. And when we look at kind of early rounds of big tournaments, that's how the best players play. You know, your Prices, your Humphreys, your Littlers, they have no doubt in their mind they're getting to the first round. And even when they don't play well, they win just because of the mind. And Ricky Evans had that tonight. I mean, he had some decent darts thrown at him in short spells. It wasn't really sustained, but he never faltered. He played some really good stuff, and see a post-match antics aside, if he can, I want to see him replicate that in a real 50-50 game, because if he can, I think he can give anyone a real good run for the money. I just don't fancy him as much when he's the nail and not the hammer, so to speak.
Well, that was going to be my question to you, Carwyn. Like, you know, we've talked quite a bit about Ricky over the years on this show, and that's the worry, isn't it? Like, he did that with and man, not it was glimpses, but he was never really under pressure, and he was just allowed to sort of flourish through the game, and it's quite comfortable, quite easy. How do you think he holds up at the minute when the pressure comes on him a little bit? He's potentially playing James Wade next, and that is a real contrast in personalities, stage presence, just, you know, approach to the hockey, everything. It's a real clash. So how do you think he holds up in that instance?
I think he struggles. I think what you saw tonight was because he had that confidence and because he had the bravado of expecting to win, the doubles were at 40%. Okay, there wasn't a lot of 140s, but there was decent, consistent scoring there. Can he do that when you've got, say, he's got James Wade playing in his speed, playing his way, hitting most outshots between 80 and 130, taking those out when everyone's under pressure? Can he do it? I don't think he can, although I do think this year, since they went through what they went through as a family and the horrible news they had earlier in the year, I do think he's a bit more composed in the way he plays. I don't think he's as erratic, but it's just now taking it to the next level in a game where he may not walk on stage with the same confidence. And I think if it is James Wade, I think he pushes James Wade, but I don't know if he beats him at the moment.
Well, we will find out, I think, very, very soon. Game number 3 this evening. Now, a lot of people in the chat room were wrong in their predictions with this last night because I think virtually every single person in the chat room, and you can all own up to it, said that this was going to be a 3-0 victory for Jan van Veen. And if I'm really honest, I quite enjoyed this game. I thought it was a good performance from Jan, but I don't resent Reyes getting getting a set on the board because, like, Danny, he gave a good. I mean, this guy disappeared from darts for 4 or 5 years, decided to pop back, having no one's seen him or known what he was up to. Went through the qualifier, and here he is on stage. And I mean, he certainly didn't embarrass himself, did he? He played fine.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think Reyes, you can make a good argument. He could beat people that have won round 1 ties. He was
100%. I mean, he wins the Mervyn King Ian White game, doesn't he?
I think he wins the other 7. I think he wins the other 7 matches. I think
he beats them both at the same time with the way that they played. Yeah, he played really well. It was nice to see Van Veen overcome a little bit of adversity. There wasn't too much in there, but I think he dealt with it in a real mature manner for someone so young in their career. There was not a lot of panic when there was some really high quality being thrown at him. And he just composed himself and recovered well. As I say, I think Reyes probably will feel like a kick leaving in round 1, but I think he can leave with his head held high for whatever that's worth. He definitely hasn't embarrassed himself. And it's the first win at Ali Pali for Van Veen, which I think he could go quite deep this year.
Yeah, it's Cowan. That Dan mentioned there that's the first win on that stage. This is the 3rd year he's been there. He came in as a seed last year. He didn't have to play till the 2nd round, and he still hasn't managed to pick up. And this is the first win he's picked up. How important? I mean, yes, he's done a lot in the game. He's lifted some big. He's lifted a very big trophy. He's gone back to back with his World Youth Championship. But how important is that to just get it done? Just after, and because up until this game, all people kept talking about was he's never won on that stage, has he? He's never won at Alexandra Palace. How important is it just to get rid of that as a talking point?
Oh, massive, because ultimately you can win everything else there is to win in sport or on a world darts, but it's the World Championship you want to perform well at. That's what everything else builds up towards. And yeah, to get that monkey off his back will be huge for him. I actually think having to play in the first round benefits somebody who's not won there before because their opponent hasn't had a game on the stage before them. So I think expanding it helps people like Van Veen just to get that win under their belt and to do it with a lot of pressure coming back as well. I think he'll be happy with having to perform and not just go through the motions. Although I would have liked to see how his bottle would have been had that 158 gone in to make it 2-2 in sets, because Reyes would have been firing on all cylinders then in that 5th set. But no, credit to Jan van Veen, as in he's been patient waiting for that win, and he can say that he did it with a good performance as well.
Well, Bob mentions in the chat room there that, and I don't know if Reyes is going to Q School or not. I mean, somebody's mentioned going to Q School, so if he is, then I mean that could be interesting because I mean, let's be honest, there's some shit that goes to that European Q School, and if he turns up and plays like that, he'll piss his, he'll do very, very well in that, and you know, if this is where his game's at, because he did just disappear off the radar for so long, like if this is where his game's at consistently, because he flew through the qualifier at a sort of the level we saw today, we saw that good. If this is where his game's at, then he's a real threat at Q School, and he's potentially a real threat with a card as well.
Oh, definitely, and I think the tour would be better for having somebody like Reyes back on it. I think checking a 96 average against some of these top boys in the earlier rounds will just make them have to play as opposed to walking through or waltzing through with an 81 average. None of that nonsense. Let's get proper first round ties.
I think, and again, you know, we haven't got any Spanish representation at the minute on the tour, so I think the more we can add a bit of variety, that the better. Right, game number 8 of the day, game 4 of the evening session, and game not maybe quite as one-sided as some thought. I thought it would be slightly more competitive, but Dan, we finally, for the first time in probably 6 months, just saw Damon Heta get on a stage on the television and hit doubles when he needed to. And I don't think a dart player has needed a win on telly more than he has for some time. Like he really needed that one, didn't he?
Oh yeah, it's good to see. I mean, it's a real shame for Heta because the way he plays on the floor, his television performances just haven't done him justice at all. I think he's one where we spoke about Rob Cross earlier, sailing through. He needed that. Heta coming back from that little gut check, you know, dropping that set of Lennon, and the fact he could overcome that. I mean, Lennon didn't throw a lot back at him, let's be honest. He got a nice lead up there. But I think that'll do him a world of good, and I really hope we can see Heta at his best, because on his day he can give anybody a game. And I think he's performed well there. He definitely needs to up it. I think the first set was brilliant. I think after that, he was just a little bit better than Lennon. He just had the quality when it mattered. He didn't particularly stand out, but I think that win will do him a world of good.
Karen, we saw from Lennon another case of a player playing for his tour card and just not being able to get anywhere near the like you know, yes, Damon played well. I think that the key thing in the performance, you know, the average wasn't amazing, but I think what we saw from Damon was we saw a big 144 checkout, that, you know, like doing something spectacular on a stage, which has been it's felt a little bit lacking. And I think more importantly was nearly 60% on the doubles. Like he was steady, composed. He was there to win the match and did what you need to do to win it, which is hit doubles. But do we just see another case of somebody coming to that stage knowing that it's not, I'm going to play in the World Championships and isn't it great, but it's going on that stage and thinking, shit, I'm about to lose my job, I'm about to lose my tour card, and then just it's like it sucked like 6-7 points off their average just with that pressure in it.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because last year we had the case of Rob Owen and Nick Kenny going to the World and saving their tour cards. Yeah, sort of this year we've already seen 3 fall today who have sort of lost their tour cards because of the defeats, and obviously it does add an added pressure. It does add extra pressure. It does really put you under the cosh. I think where Lennon will be disappointed is that Heto's probably there for the taking, as in coming onto that stage. As in, I know Heta would have been the favourite, but he's not shown anything in the last 6 months to make you think he'll breeze through it. And I think that's where Lennon will be disappointed, is the fact that he's not really given anything back to him, and he's pretty much rolled over and handed his tour card back in without any sort of real fight, unfortunately. And it's a shame, because I've liked Lennon on tour. I always thought he was one of those niggly, tough players to beat, but he sort of dropped off, and I guess that's why he's now finding himself with a decision whether he goes back to Q School in January or not.
Yeah, it's I think it's really interesting. I think Steve's one of these players that's he's almost he's sort of too good not to have a tour card, but then every time he gets a tour card, he just doesn't do enough with it. And it's that sort of halfway house, isn't it? You did mention somebody there, because I do have a feature, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy this, Carwyn, to keep an eye on your countrymen. There is a feature that we're adding to the Fallout Bar this year, which is Rob Owen Tour Card Watch. Because one of the many features of this World Championship, one of the most important things of this World Championship, is that Rob Owen in number 63 today, he still has a tour card, and we've lost a number of people that can take that tour card from him. And over the course of the coming days, we will have a daily segment on the Fallout Bar, which will be Rob Owen Tour Card Watch. And for today, Rob Owen does retain his tour card. He's still a professional dart player on the PDC Pro Tour. And that, folks, brings us to an end of today's play. It's still today as well, and we might get off this before tomorrow. Or maybe not, depends on how quick we get through their predictions. Right. So what we'll do now, folks, is we'll have a little look at tomorrow's games. If you are in the chat room, do get your predictions in as well. Get your predictions in. We'll share them. We'll stick them on the screen. We'll have a little bit of a crack. We'll laugh at you if they're silly. And if they're not silly, we'll come back and talk about them tomorrow and give you a bit of a pat on the back. So tomorrow we've got 2 sessions again. We're starting in the afternoon with, I genuinely think this is quite an interesting game. I think we know where Carwyn's going with this one. So I will come to you first, Carwyn. Mario van den Bohara against the qualifier, the one man that came through that open qualifier day, David Davis, who played absolutely superb that day. Can he overcome the Belgian tomorrow?
In a word, yes. I think, obviously, with Rob Owen in the back of my mind as well, we need a favour from his countryman here. I just think Davis was playing well, playing well for Wales, playing well at the Modus. He's won a few of the ADC tours. I think he holds the belt in the North Wales region. I think it's going to be close, but I think because Davis has got a bit more freedom and less pressure, I think he wins 3-2.
Dan?
I think it is going to be a real close game. I can't agree with Carwyn. I think it is going to be 3-2, but the other way. I think we're going to be treated to a real good game. Going to be, not 100 plus averages, but the quality will be there in spells. And I think we're going to get a little bit of drama, but I just think the experience will get them over the line.
Predicting wine. It's Friday night, so I can have you predicting wine out tonight. I can. It doesn't help. It doesn't actually make me any better at predicting. It just makes me feel a bit better about it. I am going to agree with Carwyn, and I'll tell you for why. And it's simply because I streamed that qualifying event on my own all day, and I watched, literally, I followed and talked the world through every dart that was thrown. And over the course of that day, I built up quite a bit of a fandom for David because he did some really genuinely quite impressive things in the way that, like, some of those games, he was really impressive. And that's the most recent reference I've got of sort of both of these players, is just watching him work his way through that tournament. And I was really impressed by him. And I haven't been impressed by Super Mario for some time. So just on recency bias, on who has impressed me the most recently, I'm going to go with a 3-1 win for David Davis. In the chat room, I think we've probably got a bit of a mix. I think there's some geographical bias in there, however. Robbie's got Super Mario winning 3-1. There's a pick in there somewhere. Bobby, I can't read it quick enough when you do it like that. 3-1 to David Davis. He's gone. Dan Lucas has gone 3-1 Super Mario. Ducky's gone 3-2 David Davis. The Stockport Mackham's gone 3-2 David Davis. 3-2 Mario from Marcus. Mario van den Bohara as a grinder wins 3-2 from Bob. So I think we've pretty much split the chat room 50-50. I think in reality, if we're really honest, it's probably a bit of a coin toss, that game. It could go either way. But very interesting to hear what you all think. I think this is a really interesting one as well. Game 2 tomorrow. And like in terms of a contrast, I do love the contrasts that this tournament throws up. Andrew Goldfinger Gilding and Cam Crabtree, they're on very opposite ends of a number of different spectrums, but it could be interesting. It could be a decent standard, perhaps. Is it the old guard, or does the young gun, come and impress, Dan, do you think?
I think the young gun is going to give him a real run for his money, but I just think experience, doing it on a big stage, doing it under pressure, he's just going to hit the right shots at the right time. I think it's going to be 3-1, but we're going to have a few deciding legs and sets. It's going to be a hard-fought 3-1, but I'm going to go Gilding 3-1.
Carwyn.
I'm fancying the upset here, and I'm fancying a very one-sided upset. I'm going to be bold, and Crabtree wins 3-0.
Oh, I love that. That's a pick. I find this pretty hard, and I think it's no coincidence that I keep coming to you two with this, and you're going opposite. But I think that's good. I think that's why I'm quite looking forward to this session, because I do genuinely think these games could go either way, and not just go either way in result. Is that we could see anything really? We could see crap, or we could see brilliance. It's tough, isn't it? Because Andrew Gilding he's such a difficult player to play against when he gets in that rhythm and he starts to just score well. Afternoon session as well. I think heart over head, I'm going to go. If you two go either way, I've got to go 3-2, because that means it's going to go close. And it could be they both play well. Cam Crabtree 3-2. This is a particularly nice Rioja. I'm very. It almost took my breath away. I was like, when you were talking about, Jesus, that's good. So yeah, that the predicting lines helped me out. 3-2 Cam Crabtree.
Are you sure?
No. No, I'm genuinely not sure. 3-2 Cam Crabtree. I'm saying it though.
We'll get your offence to sit on for tomorrow.
In the chat room, Robbie has gone 3-1 Crabtree. Dan Lucas has gone 3-2 Gilded. I think there's going to be a back and forth here, as there has been with the pundits on the show. Crabtree 3-1 says Bobsy. Baz has gone Goldfinger 3-1. Ducky's gone Crabtree 3-0. Marcus has gone Goldfinger 3-1. Bob has gone Crabtree winning 3-1. All boxed up in the haven't seen noticed you in yet. Welcome along, mate. 3-1 to Crabtree. Jack's gone 3-1 Gilding. Stockport Mackham 3-2 Gilding. We are really split in the chat room with these games. These are very, very 50-50 games. Carwyn, do you need to drop off, mate? And
I do. I've had the phone call. I need to go and be taxi driver for a bit.
Good man. Right. You do that, mate, and we'll catch up with you very soon. Thank you very much for your company as ever, and we'll wrap up the last couple of games between us.
Perfect. Cheers.
Later, man.
Good man. See you, buddy. That was clever, wasn't it?
Oh, you've done well there.
One click. Yes, he had primed that. I knew that was going to happen. That's right. Game number 3 tomorrow afternoon. Odd timing. I think the layout of the games is a bit unusual tomorrow. I'd have probably reversed the other two, but Luke Woodhouse against Big Boris Kirchmar. Again, we've seen a lot of positives from Luke Woodhouse. Boris, he's maybe not the threat he used to be. What do you think, Dan?
I think this is going to be the most one-sided game of the afternoon session. I think Woodhouse 3-0. I think he'll not blow him away. There might be a couple of close sets, but I think he'll deal with it pretty handily.
Yeah, I think But it's not. I think I'm certain I agree. I think we've seen such positive stuff from Woodhouse in recent times, and I do think he's a player that's really on the cusp of sort of just making it and really establishing himself in, I don't know whether top 16, but the top 20. Just he is a top player, and to be a top player, these are the games that you just need to bash off without really any threat. Boris, he's a solid player. We've seen him not on tour now. He's had a tour card before. He's lost it. We know the prestige that he has in the soft tip, world. He's a 4-time world champion playing soft tip, but such a different game. I think I agree. The only question is whether or not I give Boris a set. And I don't think I do. I think I'm pretty comfortable 3-0 Woodhouse. In the chat room, I think we've managed to. I think there's a couple
It's
of
split, is it?
Not too much. Bobsy's gone. Kirchhoff 3-1. He did, he came through the Eastern European qualifiers, but you've got to remember, I could stick one of my kids to some of the lads in there and they'd be fine. We'll see tomorrow. Robbie's gone Woodhouse winning 3-1. Ducky has gone 3-1 Woodhouse as well. Marcus has gone 3-0 Big Boris. I'm not going to tell Big Boris. Yeah, that is a fair point. If anyone asks, if Boris asks anyone, we all picked him to win 3-0.
If he's in the room, it's a different conversation altogether.
You win 4-0. I would have thought, Boris. 4-0 to you. Baz has got Woody winning 3-2. All boxed up has got Woodhouse winning 3-1. And the Stockport Mackham has got Boris 3-1 as well. I mean, I don't think it wouldn't be the biggest upset in the world, but it would really shock me. I would, it's not on my list of things I think can happen in the first round.
For me, it would go against the momentum I see both players having. As I said, I think talent levels when they're both playing well, it's fairly comparable, but I think they're on different trajectories at the moment. Right, now, you might know, Dan, that, and you're just about 20 miles away from me where you grew up as well, and I don't discriminate. Only in football do I discriminate against which part of the Northeast that anybody's from. Generally, if you're a Northeast Dart player, I'm behind you, no matter what. I even does it, and he's a Borough lad, but I do my best for the lads in the Northeast. But I'll go first on this one because I don't want to keep putting it on you. I just can't see a scenario where Adam Hunt can. I think Adam Hunt has got to have his best day, and Gary Anderson has got to completely lose the plot. And common sense and history and everything I know about the world tells me that Gary Anderson won't lose the plot on the stage at the Alexandra Palace. And I just think it's a absolutely nightmare draw for Adam Hunt. It's a perfect draw for Gary Anderson. I think it's a 3-0 win to Gando. I can't disagree. I don't see Gary going out averaging over 100 because I just don't see him doing that this early in a tournament. But he really doesn't need to, does he? Yeah. I mean, it could even be high 80s. That could give you a 3-0 sweep.
Set play, especially, yeah.
I think it's a tough one. I mean, Gary Anderson in the first round, he's seen it all, he's done it all. It's really not what you want, but I'd be very shocked if we get anything different in the comments.
Yeah, and you know what? Massive fan of Adam. Chesley Street lad. He's not far from where you or I hail from, and I if he wins, then by hell I'll be high-fiving strangers on the night bus. I'll be over the moon for him if he wins. It's just with all the common sense I can muster, I can't predict it. I think looking in the chat room, it is pretty much clean sweep across the board. We've got Robbie with a Gando 3-0 win. Exactly the same from Bobsy as well. And Marcus and Ducky and Bob and all boxed up and the Stockport Mackham and everybody else in the chat room has gone 3-0 Gary Anderson, which will polish off what I genuinely think is a decent looking afternoon session. I think
also good games on there for sure, yeah.
And I think it's no coincidence that, let's be honest, there's an afternoon session today where everybody's still at work and not many people can watch it. Tomorrow's the Saturday afternoon session, and we've got, I think, a much higher standard of games into the evening. Oh, and then
first up,
I didn't get the draw I wanted. Like I said, all I wanted, the only thing, and I prayed to the darting gods. I just wanted Luke Littler against Paul Lim, opening round. I just
imagine
thought,
them both being on a 9 after 6. It would be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Realistically, as darts in Asia continues to grow and the Asian Premier League, it is very unlikely that we see Paul Lim on a PDC stage ever again. And I just thought, isn't it quite a beautiful bookend that, if Paul Lim's going to get beat in his last game, then why shouldn't it be? Like, wouldn't that be cool? And I didn't get it. But Jeffrey de Graaf is going to have to fill those shoes. We have seen a Swede move through to the second round. Some may argue about how solid he is with that. But what do we think? Is there any chance for Paul Lim? Jeffrey de Graaf being a bit fragile. He was a little bit fragile occasionally. Am I just clinging?
So I have done it the exact same thing today. I've been trying to justify and explore any type of route. Like, the fans will be up for it Saturday night. Everyone's had a drink, the atmosphere. And unfortunately, I can't come to a conclusion where Paul Lim wins. I'm going to go with de Graaf 3-1 just because I want that moment of Paul Lim winning a set. I would like it to be either the first set or the second set as well, just for the fans. But I just can't. I can't lie to myself. I think we could have a few moments where it's tight if Lim starts well, but I just think de Graaf's going to pull away.
Yeah, and that is it. Like, we all want to see it, but I agree. I don't think that Paul Lim has the game in him currently that can really make it competitive and push de Graaf to like. I do think it's a 3-0 that I hate having to say, because, and again, I'll be jumping up off the sofa and high-fiving everyone if Paul Lim gets a set, because again, I almost want him to have that moment to bookend his career. I want him to have something to put his hands up, and I want something for the crowd to cheer him for. Because
I just want him to go 4 or 5 perfect into a leg.
Well,
just at any point.
We'll get in the chat room, because there's a particularly rogue pick I've noticed towards the bottom of it. All Boxed Up has gone a 3-0 de Graaf victory. There's a lot of this about. Dan Lucas has gone 3-0 to Jeffrey de Graaf as well. Bobsy's gone Paul Lim to win 3-2. By God, Bobsy, I wish you are right. I wish that you know and understand it better than us, because that'd be class. I'll be happy and drunk tomorrow if that's the case. Robbie's gone de Graaf 3-1. Ducky has gone 3-1 de Graaf as well. Marcus is unfortunately, reluctantly gone 3-0 de Graaf. Bob's gone 3-0 for de Graaf as well. There's a lot of this. Baz is the same. The Stockport Mackem, I'm going to give that as the prediction of the night, to be fair.
Well, Stockport Mackem is my dad, so that'll be very much right.
He's predicting 3-2 Lim and a 9 dart. Seek help for him. I don't know.
We're obviously of the same ilk.
I'm not sure if he's medicated. I'm not sure if he's working with anyone at the minute.
He'll be very well medicated by this time on a Friday night, definitely.
Yeah, I think probably some help is probably wise for that one.
Might have had a few predicting wines.
I was going to say, if he's on the predicting wines, quite good. It does help out a little bit. Interesting one next, because Wessel Nyman, he keeps threatening. We know the level of talent that he's got, and he is on his day one of the best players on planet darts. He's amazing, but he seems to keep miraculously finding ways to lose games that he should win. And oppositely, Karel Sedlacek seems to have a habit of winning games he should lose. And I don't know if that makes this interesting or not, or if I'm just trying to create drama where there is none.
There's an element of interest. I mean, we're waiting for that breakout tournament for Nyman, aren't we? Where he takes a couple of big scalps, he makes a semi-final. I mean, on his day, he could make a final. He can play at the highest standard. He just hasn't quite got that grit in him yet. I get what you're saying, but I don't think this is going to be enough to throw him off. I think he's going to dispatch this one 3-0 pretty handily.
Yeah, I think as much as I want to sort of almost create a situation, like create a drama, because we thrive on chaos, and that's what we want to see on that stage. I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see any chaos. I think there are far worse players than Wessel Nyman have dispatched Karel Sedlacek in these, in this tournament on this stage, and I think he's a decent, a decent tour player, but Wessel Nyman really has a rocket strapped to him and could be. We're talking about a player that in 2 or 3 years' time could be a well-established Premier League player if he reaches that potential and keeps it up. Do I give him 3-1? I think 3-1 to Wessel Nyman. There is again. We've got a couple of road. Why not? We've got a couple of the other way. Robbie's gone 3-2 Sedlacek. Ducky's gone Sedlacek 3-2. Wessel does a Ross Smith. Like if any other players got that in them, then it is Wessel. Like we've seen him repeat. We saw him do it literally a matter of weeks ago in Minehead. We've seen him like snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Like he's almost at the finish line and just stumbles. So it could happen. We've got a lock at, do you know, they're right in here in the chat room. Evil Charlie with a shock. Wessel missiles doubles. Do you know what? Nobody trusts him anymore, do they? Like he's thrown it away too many times that nobody trusts him.
He's got to overcome that, hasn't he, on the big stage?
Well,
he's got to have that performance.
And that's it. And so Marcus again fancies the upset. Sedlacek 3-1. Then we've got some common sense a bit further down. Bobsy's gone Nyman 3-1. Dan Lucas 3-1. All boxed up Nyman 3-zip. Basfitz Nyman. Yeah, we've returned to sanity. Stockport Mackham's gone 3-2 with Nyman. He's corrected himself. Yeah, he's gone 3-1 rather than 3-zip. I just sort of think a bit like we've said, and do you know what? It's all gone to plan so far in terms of, when we've said, well, like sooner or later, Hetter's just got to win on TV, and Rob Cross has just got to find some form again, and somebody, and all these little things that we've said, well, sooner or later, like it's happened so far. So I'm sticking with, well, sooner or later, Wessel Nyman's just got to turn up and win without complication, without going massively ahead and then throwing it all away or having to come back from 2-0 down. Or he should just turn up and win. And I think that's probably what we're going to see tomorrow.
I agree at this level. I think, later down the line, we get around 2, round 3, the complications start to creep in, depending on the draw. But I think you'll get through this fairly unscathed, if I'm honest. As I say, I'm predicting a whitewash.
Right. Now, we finally welcome to the Alexandra Palace stage this year the man who was king. Luke Humphries returns, this time world number 2, the hunter rather than the hunted, taking on Ted Everts, former PDC World Youth Champion, and one of the few in recent years hasn't developed that World Youth Championship title into a run to the top end of the rankings, and he's middled at best ever since. Is this, do you think, Dan, the final burst of potential from Super Ted? Or does Humphries just turn up and do what Humphries does?
I think Humphries, his form speaks for itself, but I think we're going to get a really committed, hungry Luke Humphries. I think he's got the hump a little bit about the way he was treated as world number 1. I don't think he's spiteful enough to see anything in the media or anything like that. I think he's too classy of a person to do that, but I think he's taking it out on that practice board. And I think, Little had a decent performance yesterday. I think he wants to go out and smash a 110. He wants everyone talking about him after round one to prove a point. And I just can't see if it's standing up to it at all. I think it's going to be clean. It's going to be clinical. It's going to be 20 minutes in and out, 3-0.
You know what, folks? What he said. That I couldn't agree more. Like, I've had a little feeling, and I get them about Humphreys. He's a player that I sort of get these feelings that he's almost building up just to turn up and completely dick someone. Yeah. And that is exactly where I think he is. I think, and unfortunately for Ted Everts, like, my heart goes out to him, right? Because you look at his record at Alexandra Palace, right? And then, like, his debut, he gets drawn against Gezi Price. Right? Well, that's shit, isn't it? Like, he goes back the following year, he has to play Adrian Lewis. Right, try again, Ted. Who or what now for Fallon Sherrick? Shield
Fallon Sherrick plus 8,000 pretty much against them.
Yeah, one of the most replayed clips in PDC history. Every Sky Sports ident and advert. Like, and then I just think, he's going to get his ass handed to him tomorrow. And I think, and I do think it's one of those games where we see like 106, 107 average. Like, 25 minutes, just bang, 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 done. And I think we get an angry Luke Humphreys that turns up wanting to send a message to the world to say, I know that he's on all the posters, but I'm still very good as well. Like that. I think that's
I know we've still got the second round to come, but I think Humphreys wants to be taught with the table at Christmas. He wants to be sitting down there on Christmas Day having his turkey thinking, Humphreys is looking
well, isn't he? 100%.
I think he wants to send a real message.
I think we've got another clean sweep in the chat room again. It's rare we get a clean sweep on results, never mind scores, but Bobsy's got 3-0 Humphreys. It would be a complete shock if Super Ted
possibly the biggest shock ever
of all time, I would go with. Robbie's gone 3-0, Luke, as has Bob, all boxed up 3-0 as well. Ducky Baker, 3-0 Humphreys. Dan Lucas, 3-0 Humphreys. Your old man's gone 3-0 Humphreys. Done in 20 minutes. I think that's, I can agree with that. Humphreys 3-0 from Baz as well. Jay Greenwood, 9-0 Luke. Yeah, not even giving Ted a leg. And the same again from Marcus, who's gone 3-0. Ted doesn't win a leg. Feel a bit for Ted Everts because, like I said, when you rattle that record off at Alexandra Palace, you think, Jesus, fucking give the pool lad a chance.
Like, at least he's got Christmas off, eh?
Apart from that game with Fallon, Gezi Price, Adrian Lewis, Luke Humphreys, like, how does he get those first round draws?
I mean, especially when the Worlds obviously has such an effect on your ranking.
Who's he pissed off to keep getting draws like that?
What's he done to the PDC?
Right, game number 4. And you know what, folks? There is half a chance if I can concoct it tomorrow that I might start the Fallout bar a bit early tomorrow, even on my own, and do a bit of a watch along for game number 4, because Alex Spellman, friend of the show, Alex Spellman, he's been a guest on the live lounge. He's in touch with us. He's a real good lad, good egg. He's contributed nicely to our channel, and I might try and get on a bit earlier to talk through this game a little bit, because Spellman's he does have a real game in him, and it's unfortunate that we haven't seen the very best of him at the right time. Like, he really underwhelmed at the Slam, and there was so much more that he's got that we didn't see at the Slam the other week. But Gabriel Clemens is a player that's a shadow of the man that made the semi-finals of this event. Where do you think this one goes? What do you think?
This is my upset. Well, I don't know if you'd even call it an upset, because I think, as you've said, I think he's going to catch Clemens cold. He's not the ruthless player he was. I think Spellman 3-2. And I think he's going to be good value for it as well. I think you'll outplay him. You'll have the higher average. You'll have more 180s, more 140s. And I think it'll be close, but I think he'll take a 3-2. I don't think Clemens is what he was. I mean, if Clemens can rediscover what he was, I think it's a bad night for Spellman, don't get me wrong, but I can't see that happening.
I tell you what I think happens here. I think they've both been playing. They've both got quite recent, rough memories of playing darts on telly in the PDC. Like, yes, Clemens has got a lot more experience, but like I think it's been rough for him lately, and I think it's 3-1. I think it's a comfortable win for whichever player gets to the stage and actually can play their game. Because I think as soon as one of them does that, the other one shits themselves and can't keep. I think, as soon almost like 3-1 at the first man to hit a 180, because I think the other one shits himself and goes, "Fuck, I can't hit 180s on the stage anymore," and it's tough as soon as you're on the back foot. So I just think whoever gets out first and looks the most confident and settles quicker will win 3-1. And again, it might be heart over head, but I think Spellman is more like it. I think he's really pissed off with the fact, and I don't think, when you look at the group that he was in at the Slam, I don't think he expected to come through that group. But I don't think he expected to be. It's one thing getting beat by elite players. It's another thing getting beat by elite players averaging 81. Like, because you just aren't giving. And I think that he really wants to get on that stage, get on the telly, represent himself, his family, the US. And I think it's 3-1 Spellman. I'm going to go for. Let's have a look in the chat room, see what we've got. Ducky's gone 3-1 Spellman. I've always said he's a clever lad. Dodgy game between these two where out could happen. 3-2 Clemens. I mean, yeah, it's hard to disagree. Like, I think anything could happen here. Stockport Mac Spellman wins 3-2 in sudden death live on the part like that. That's probably the closest pick, that because I think I might sneak on a bit early and sort of watch. I might put a screen up and watch it with a bit of crack with you lot. 3-1 Clemens. Spellman very poor. I know he was very poor, but he's so much better than that. He is so much better than that. Clemens 3-2, maybe extra time. If it's extra time, we're definitely starting early, because I'm not on this and starting at midnight. Christ, we've done that too many times. Right, folks. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always. We're finishing day 2. Don't forget, Phil Barrs, hardest working man in darts, has been at the venue all night. He's interviewed every single winning player. All of those interviews will be available in full on the Online Darts YouTube page. We would normally be cutting them into this show, but unfortunately at the minute I think he's working with 56k dial-up AOL internet, and it's all not quite working as it should be with the connectivity in Alexandra Palace. But you can see all those interviews on the YouTube page. We will be back. Not sure who's on tomorrow, but rest assured somebody will be back tomorrow with another episode of the Fallout Bar, talking you through day 3. Thank you all in the chat room for your crack, for your banter, for your predictions. Thank you, Dan Spedding, for joining me for the second night in a row on the Fallout Bar. It's been a pleasure to have you on again. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, and good night.
Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championship.